Life game night this Friday? Did anybody else throw up, or was that just me? Dude, was that not the most fun that you guys have ever had at a youth event? I loved it. It was just the best. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Sam. And I'm the middle school intern here, and I just love getting to know you guys. And I have the honor of getting to start this new series with you guys. It's called Through the Darkness, as you can tell. And when I first heard that name, I was like, this is the coolest name ever. I actually thought it was the name of like this new metal band that Tyler started. Turns out it's actually a sermon series. I'm kind of disappointed, but then once I read it, I was like, this is a great series. So, I do have to address the elephant in the room, though. Apparently, I built myself sort of a reputation with my speaking. Zach told me that after my last sermon that Sarah, his wife, came up to him and she said, is Sam just going to tell breakup stories every time he's up here? Unfortunately, I'm sad to say I don't have a breakup story with me today. So simple, but for some reason they just can't do it. It's like, you know that you can help them and you can probably do it in like 2 seconds, but it's so entertaining to watch them fail that you would rather watch them fail than actually help them. Like, some people are just so in the dark on things. Like, have you guys ever seen an infomercial? People in infomercials cannot do anything right. So I actually brought a video with me today of some people in infomercials. So let's check that out. In the dark through the simplest task of life. You know, speaking of being in the dark,
Breakup story 3.0.
Have you guys ever been in a power outage? Guys, we literally are in the dark with the slides right now. So, okay, maybe it's a Friday night, and you're on like your 5th game of Fortnite, you're settling in for the night, you have junk food everywhere, everything's just going right, you got all the right weapons, you're about to get that game-winning kill, you have the perfect squad, and you are looking through the scope of a sniper, about to be that game-winning kill and win. And then the lights go off, and the TV goes off right as you fire that bullet. And you have to deal with two things. First of all, the fact that you totally would have won that game if the electricity had not gone off. And second, now you're in the dark. So you have to figure out what are you going to do now that you're in the dark. I don't know about you guys, but I think we've all been there. I know I personally was in a situation just like that a few years ago, where I was actually watching Star Wars, and I was like 6 hours in a marathon. It was so awesome. And it was right at the part where you find out that Darth Vader is really Luke's father, and Darth Vader's like, I am your father. And Luke's like, no, you're not. And right as I got to that moment, the electricity went off. And it was nighttime, and I didn't know what to do. I was so mad. And then I was like, I guess I'll be a caveman and read a book. But I didn't even have any light, so I was like, I'll get a flashlight. The only thing is, the flashlight was downstairs and I was upstairs. So I was going to have to walk down the steps in the complete dark. Not fun. I was a little nervous. I said a quick prayer. I was like, dear Lord, please don't let me die tonight. Amen. And I started making my way down the steps. I took a deep breath. And I took a step. Thank you. And then I took another deep breath. And I took a second step. And at this point, I was like, you know what? Maybe I got this down. So I took a third step. And that's the last thing I remember. Because the next thing I know, I have completely fallen down all of the steps. I have a knot the size of a baseball on my head. And my dignity is who knows where, because I am so embarrassed. My entire family has woken up. They all come rushing to see what's going on, and I have to tell them, hey guys, it's just your son, you know, the uncoordinated one. Yeah. I mean, I think we all find ourselves in the dark at times. And, you know, sometimes you may say, I'm not afraid of the dark. I love the dark. I didn't see daylight until I was a man. Or maybe some of you, you're afraid of the dark. And when the dark comes, you don't know what to do. You're petrified. You're like that guy that like puts the cover over his head and he's like, I'm just going to chill here until the light comes. But you see, the thing about darkness is it makes everything, even the most simplest of tasks, like walking downstairs, more difficult. Some people, they may be afraid to do anything until the light returns. While other people, you're that guy when the light goes off, you're like, you get a fuse, you get a flashlight, I'm going to go check this out, I'm going to fix this. I am Bob the Builder. Can I fix it? Yes, I can. But you see, the thing is, no matter how you react to the darkness, we all have the same goal of trying to get back to the light. And just like we might find ourselves in the dark because of a power outage, sometimes due to certain circumstances in life, we may find ourselves standing in the dark in life. Maybe the sun's shining, and you're surrounded by friends, but you still feel just as alone and afraid as if you're standing in the dark. You see, there's so many different areas in life where we can have to deal with darkness. Maybe it's at the global level. Maybe you sit down one night to watch the news with your parents, and you hear about these terrible natural disasters, hurricanes, earthquakes, and you hear about how all these people are dislodged and maybe even dying, or maybe you see school shootings on the news every day, and it scares you so much you're even afraid to go to your own school. Or maybe it's in your community. Maybe that teacher or that person that you looked up to, maybe you find out some things about them, and it turns out they weren't at all like you thought they were. Or maybe your good friend, that friend that everyone's house goes to hang out with, and everyone loves their parents. Or maybe their house burns down. Or maybe even it's at a personal level. Maybe, I hope you guys haven't experienced this, but maybe it's a death of a family member, or maybe your own house burns down. Maybe you're like me and you wake up one day and you find out that your close friend that was always smiling the most and laughing more than anyone else was actually sad underneath all of that. And you have to live with the fact, knowing that she's not going to be around anymore because she killed herself. No matter what, darkness is going to come in our lives. That's unavoidable. And you see, we all deal with darkness a little differently. Maybe you find yourself feeling numb when the darkness comes. You're in so much pain, you just feel nothing. Maybe you find you deal with it through anger. Maybe you're just so mad that you couldn't do anything to fix it, that you just lash out at anyone and everything that's around you. Or maybe you're like that person in the darkness analogy that rushes to action and they do everything they can to fix it because they want to be part of the solution, because they can't stand having this darkness around. Or maybe when the darkness comes, you find yourself paralyzed by fear. You see all the different possibilities and all the negative things you're having to deal with and all the implications that might have with it. Then you simply choose to do nothing because you can't deal with all of that at once. But the thing is, no matter how you deal with pain, you're not alone. Because everyone deals with pain, and everyone deals with it differently. Now, there may not be a literal checklist on how to deal with pain in the Bible, but we do have lots of real-life examples. So today, we're going to look at a story recorded by a guy named John. So if you have your Bibles or your phones, can you go ahead and turn your Bibles to John 11. We're going to be in chapter John 11 today. And you see, John wasn't just any guy. He was one of Jesus' closest friends. He was a disciple. And so if he knew Jesus better than basically almost anyone that was alive during that time. And in John 11, John shares this story with us about a time that Jesus went through some emotional darkness himself. Okay, so John 11, starting on verse 1, it says, "Now there's a man named Lazarus who was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha." You see, Mary and Martha were two of Jesus' other good friends. It says in verse 2 that this Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same Mary who earlier in this book poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent word to Jesus, and they said, "Lord, the one that you love is sick." So we see in these scriptures that Lazarus just wasn't any guy. Jesus and Lazarus were very good friends. Jesus knew Lazarus' family, and he knew Lazarus very well. Lazarus' sister even went as far to say that Lazarus was the one that Jesus loved. One of Jesus' very best friends was suffering from a major illness. Now, I just want to pause here for a second. I want you to all close your eyes and think about how Jesus felt when he received that news. You know, he's just walking around, being Jesus, turning water to wine. It's no big deal. Doing Jesus stuff. And then he sees Mary and Martha coming across the street. Maybe he gets a big smile on his face and he waves to them, and he runs to them with open arms to give them a hug. But the second he sees their face, he knows it's not okay. They walk up to him and they say, "Jesus, it's Lazarus. It's not good." Now, I don't know if any of you guys have ever been in a situation like that. I hope you haven't. But if you have, you'll know that this is one of the most painful feelings you can experience. So this is an example of Jesus already being in pain. And then as we move on to John 11, verses 17 through 20, we see that on his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. So in just the time it took for Jesus to make it to see Lazarus, which wasn't even that much of a journey, Lazarus had went from being sick to not doing well to being dead. And anyone that's ever dealt with loss can tell you that Lazarus' sisters were going through extreme pain. And they were experiencing all sort of emotions. We look at the next verse on chapter John 11:21. Martha walks up to Jesus and she says, "Lord, if you had been there, my brother would not have died." She's one of those people that she was dealing with her pain through anger. She was angry at everything, even Jesus himself. himself. The Son of God was standing right beside her, and she didn't even care. She was just angry. Mary was hurting as well, though, but she handled it differently. It says in verse 20 that when Martha heard Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him. But Mary stayed at home. She didn't even leave the house. The Son of God himself was standing right beside her, but she didn't even leave. Maybe she was numb from the pain. Maybe she was paralyzed by fear. Perhaps she was just simply so exhausted from crying she couldn't even move anymore. You see, even though Mary and Martha handled their pain in very different ways, Jesus met them right where they were, and he didn't judge them for grieving the way they did. But you see, the most interesting part of the story is what happens next, starting in John 11:33. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in the spirit and troubled. "Where have you laid him?" he asked. "Come and see, Lord," they replied. Pay attention to these next two words in this verse. Jesus wept. And then the Jews said, "Come and see how he loved him." Jesus wept. Two simple words, but they mean so much. Jesus wept. It's the shortest passage in the entire Bible, but it speaks volumes. We see Jesus' loss, his pain, and his sadness all in two words, but we also see him pause to feel it. I can only imagine that when Jesus arrived on the scene, that everyone had all these expectations about what he would say and what he would do. But in those two words, we see him simply pause and grieve. We see him stand with Mary in her pain, and we see him hurt alongside those who are hurting. You know, maybe you bought into this lie of toxic masculinity where you think, I'm a guy, so I can't feel emotions. I can't cry. I can't feel pain. I have to be strong. I have to have my life put together because I'm a guy, and people are going to think I'm not manly if I show emotions. Or maybe when you were a little girl, your mom told you, hey, pretty girls are supposed to smile, quit your crying. And so you think, now I have to be that girl that has her entire life put together. I can't let people know that I feel things too. I go through pain. But I'm here to tell you that is not true. It is okay to feel pain. Because you see, Jesus is the ultimate role model, and he wept. He didn't, just have that one manly tear roll down his eyes. He wept. The ultimate role model wept. So it's okay to be in pain. It's okay to feel. Because ultimately, when we refuse to feel, that's just another type of feeling. But the best part is, you're not alone. Because we see in those verses that when Jesus took time to mourn with those around him, he was also being present. And in your pain today, Jesus is being present with you. Because in your pain, Jesus hurts too. Because he cares for us, he grieves with us. Jesus actually went on later in this story to raise Lazarus from the dead, which is an incredible miracle. But he didn't do that until after he went to the tomb and mourned. He didn't brush aside the sadness or the anger, and he didn't rush through the darkness to get to the other side. He didn't skip the emotional part. Jesus showed us that when things are dark, you have to feel before you can heal. So what does it look like for you to move through the darkness in your life? The best place is simply to follow the example of Jesus. He chose to feel. He wept. He felt his loss and he grieved with others. When you experience pain, press pause and just feel. And there are no rules about how you should feel. You might feel angry, sad, confused, or even numb when the dark times surface. Jesus chose to weep. But he let Mary and Martha grieve in their own ways. There's no one way to feel, just your way. So as the band comes forward, I want you guys to just remember that dark times, they're unavoidable, and we will find ourselves in times of pain. But it's not until we grieve that we can move forward and begin the healing process. Jesus is right there with you. Talk to him. Run to him. Yell at him. He can handle it. He took the ultimate pain on the cross for us. He can take a little bit of our yelling. And remember, as you move towards him, he's moving towards you. He didn't run away from Mary and Martha, and he's not going to run away from you either. Jesus is right with you. In fact, he wants to meet you in the middle of your pain. So if you guys would close your eyes, I just want to pray with you guys. Father, we live in a broken world, and pain is so unavoidable. We know that, God. And sometimes pain can be scary, and we might not know what to do, Father, but Lord, please just help us remember that you are with us, and that you hurt with us, God. And help us remember that it is important to feel so that we can begin to heal, Father. And I pray that you will be with all of these students in their pain, whatever it may be, God. Maybe it's something that I named today. Maybe it's something that I don't know about, that they haven't told anyone, Father. I pray that you will just be there with them, and that you will help them know that not only are you there with them, but all of us, the staff, the leaders, even their fellow friends are there with them to help them walk through this pain, Father. In your name I pray. Amen.
Will you please stand and worship with us? The highest King would welcome me. I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Oh, his love for me. Whom the sun sets free, always free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. His grace runs deep. When I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, he died for me. Whom the sun sets free, oh, it's free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. You have been so, so good.
your treasure in jars of clay. So take this heart, Lord, I'll be your vessel, the world to see your life in me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, I can see you now. Oh, I can see the love in your eyes, laying yourself down, raising up the broken to life. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saves a wretch like me. Oh, I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, I can see you now. Oh, I can see the love in your eyes, laying yourself down and raising up the broken to life. Dear God, Heavenly Father, dear Lord, I thank you for this time that you've given us to worship you, and I pray that we'll have a great week.